Let me tell you a story today that goes way back in time. A great story, a true story. I bet you want to hear it. The story of a dinosaur. But how do I start? How and where? There lived a dinosaur. Ek dinosaur tha. And then let's go to the location. It's our own home, the earth, and the characters. Snakes and scorpions, frogs, toads, trees, bacteria and fish, bears and monkeys, ants, rats and elephants, the whale and the crocs, the birds and the bees, each and every creature that has ever lived on earth. The undisputed hero of the story is the dinosaur. And there's a villain too. But that is a mystery as of now. A secret. There's only one way to begin this story. Only one way. Let's start from the very beginning. And then the Big Bang. The huge explosion that created our entire universe. The galaxies, our sun and the planets, even our earth. It's not easy to comprehend how far back into time this happened. But the age of our earth is considered to be 4.6 billion years. That's 46 followed by 8 zeros. In the beginning, the earth was very, very different. A ball of fire, hot, molten, a bubbling cauldron of magma, lifeless, death. And this is where our story begins. The story of the dinosaur. Our story begins from the boiling, bubbling earth, and you need terrific imagination to listen to it. So imagine that we have donned our spacesuits, put on our oxygen masks. We are ready to land on planet Earth. It's hot, very hot, and no oxygen to breathe. So, are you ready? Ready to step back into time? Way back into time? "4 billion years back in time. The earth is still boiling. The volcanic gases have formed clouds. It's raining heavily, non-stop. Oceans are filling up. Volcanoes are spouting, erupting molten lava. All land is jammed together. The 5 continents have not separated. There is an atmosphere around the earth, but an atmosphere without oxygen. No oxygen to breathe, no solid ground to step on, and active volcanoes spitting heat. How on earth did life evolve here? How did the hero of our story, the dinosaur, take birth? Let's proceed with the story. Let's peep inside the ancient ocean. In fact, let's dive in. The ocean is hot, boiling, a cocktail of chemicals. Methane, ammonia, phosphates, cyanides, many chemicals. There's chaos. Lightning is striking continuously, and the rain continues to lash. Volcanoes are erupting, and earthquakes are causing upheavals. Out of this chaos, something extraordinary happens. From the lifeless comes the basis of life, DNA. And from the DNA the first form of life, the unicellular bacteria. Bacteria that takes in carbon dioxide and gives out oxygen. Scientists believe that algae followed bacteria. Algae that breathed in carbon dioxide and breathed out oxygen. This gaseous exchange went on for lakhs of years. Carbon dioxide made way for oxygen, and the atmosphere as we know it was formed. This was the oxygen we could breathe in. The earth was still young. It was changing, becoming more hospitable. Air to breathe in, land to live on. Yes, land was forming. The lava from the volcanoes cooled to form the land. Now don't you imagine, even for a moment, that this happened quickly. These processes were slow, gradual, over years and years. But let's not worry about the time frame now, because it's time for something very exciting. Friendship inside the ocean. Unicellular organisms were forging new relationships and evolving. Multicellular life forms were taking birth. Sponges, seaweeds, and then a diverse variety of life forms. Jellyfish and corals. Corals that looked like plants but were animals. This was the Precambrian age. I'm sorry, really sorry. Sorry for using technical terms like the Precambrian age in my story. But don't you worry. If you remember them, great. If you don't, it's okay. Because right now, it's important to reach the dinosaur. So let's meet some strange and awesome creatures at the Prehistoric Animal Life Gallery. Prehistoric, before history. These are creatures that lived way back in time, millions of years ago. A time that has no written history. Creatures like this were taking birth in the ocean. They crawled on the bottom in shallow waters. The family of trilobites had amazing diversity. Their most unique feature, their segmented bodies were covered with a hard shell. But then, they were not alone. The creatures of the Precambrian age were multiplying and evolving. Competition, the struggle to survive, the rule even then, survival of the fittest. This was the time of change. The land was turning green. This meant plenty of food. It was tempting and sensible, but difficult to move out of water to live in this new home. Some creatures managed to do just that. Insects became the first land dwellers. Inside the water, the trilobites were in trouble. The crustaceans were taking over. Crabs, shrimps, prawns, lobsters. Their numbers were increasing. Their increasing domination spelled trouble for the trilobites. They lost the race of survival. This was the first mass extinction in the story of life on Earth. I'm sure you're thinking what I think you must be thinking. How can we possibly know what happened millions of years ago? How can we be so sure that the trilobites looked the way we say they did? Of course we are sure. It's prehistory. But then, the fossils remain to tell us the fascinating story. Like this one here, a trilobite that crawled to the bottom of the ocean, which is now a stone.
When creatures die, they settle to the bottom of the ocean. Now we know that the sedimentary rocks form in the ocean bed. It is there that the soil changes to hard rock due to the immense pressure and heat. A creature trapped in the stone leaves its print, its structure, its body. It becomes a fossil.
The trilobites disappeared, but something amazing was happening on land. The insects were not just crawling, they were trying to fly. The dragonflies took wind in prehistoric times, but these ancient flyers were truly large, 1 foot long champions of flight. Now I somewhat understand how challenging it must be for a frog. Inside water, then out, in again and out. Why am I saying that? Well, aren't we in and out of water in this story of mine? It's time to dive right in for something exciting. The first fish were finless, jawless, sightless, but they were master swimmers. It was in the fish that the backbone first appeared. These primitive fish evolved, diversified, multiplied, but all this over millions of years. Slowly, very slowly. Our story is proceeding so slowly that you may be wondering if our hero, the dinosaur, will appear in the climax. Absolutely not. In this age of remote controls, it is I who turns the knob. Reptiles, the creatures who crawled, they ruled the earth. This was the Mesozoic age. What was this time like? How was our earth then? The continents had not drifted. The landmass was jammed into one supercontinent, the Pangaea. The earth was much warmer. The carbon dioxide in the atmosphere much more than today. And reptiles ruled. This very family of reptiles evolved into snakes and lizards, crocodiles and turtles as we know them today. But the prehistoric reptiles were different, very different. Weight, 250 kgs. Length, some 11.5 feet. Sharp teeth, clawed paws, a fin-like skin on the back. The Dimetrodon was a reptile, but not a dinosaur. The Synognathus, wolf-sized, powerful jaws, awesome hunter. We are some 230 million years back in time. But the Synognathus was not a dinosaur too. It is regarded as the ancestor to mammals, our ancestor. This was the time when the Archaeopteryx soared the skies. Was it a bird or a flying reptile? It had feathers on its body, but teeth inside its beak. A bit of a bird, a bit of a reptile. Any talk of flight in prehistoric animals would be incomplete without the pterosaur, the largest creature ever to fly. Some people like to call it a dinosaur, but the scientists disagree. The wait is now finally over. It's time to meet the dinosaur. Or should I say, dinosaurs? Dinosaurs and more dinosaurs. It was their rule. They dominated the earth. Some huge, 100 feet long, 50 feet high. Others, hen-sized. Most dinosaurs were between these two sizes. Yes, it's true. Contrary to popular belief, not all dinosaurs were monstrous. And neither were they cruel hunters who devoured their prey whole. The fact is, most dinosaurs were herbivores, peaceful creatures that minded their own business of survival. Their only concerns: food, water, safety, and procreation. Like this one here, the long-necked Apatosaurus or Brontosaurus. It was huge, about 70 to 90 feet long, extremely heavy, some 30 to 38 tons. But the fierce T-Rex was a meat eater, the largest carnivore ever to have walked the earth. 40 feet long, its weight 5,000 kilograms or 5 tons. Now you may be wondering if any dinosaurs lived where we live, in India. Of course they did. Dinosaurs were everywhere, remember? They ruled the earth. The king of dinosaurs, the Rajasaurus. The fossils of this huge, heavy, strong carnivore have been recently discovered in central India. Others have lived here too, amply proved by the fossils that have been discovered from time to time. Sauropod eggs, a variety of fossilized bones, and even fossilized tongue. Experts believe that in times to come, a lot more will be dug up. But the undisputed masters were the dinosaurs. They ruled for a long, long time. But there were others too, who lived at the same time. There is evidence that more than 700 different species of dinosaurs have lived on this earth. Frogs, crocodiles, mosquitoes, insects, some mammals, even the cockroach. Then the dinosaurs died out, extinct. After ruling the earth for millions of years, why did they suddenly disappear? It is believed that a massive asteroid crashed into the earth. The impact so great that billions of tons of dust surrounded the earth. Life on earth started dying out. One's defeat became another's triumph. The dinosaurs lost out, but this was the victory of the mammals. It's simple. During the rule of the dinosaurs, mammals were few and insignificant. But once the dinosaurs disappeared, they flourished. This is what the prehistoric mammals looked like. Huge, monstrous, like this one, the Dinotherium, the second largest mammal that has ever lived on Earth. Then came the woolly mammoth, the largest mammal ever. Their tusks alone were longer than 4 feet. This was the rule of the mammals. They established their domination and ruled for nearly 60 million years. It was at this time that man appeared, and by this time, man had even discovered fire and made weapons. The Ice Age set in, temperatures dipped, survival became tough for most creatures. Most large mammals were wiped out, but man, he survived and continued to adapt and evolve. Evolution and extinction, they've always gone hand in hand. This is the law of nature. Then you may be wondering that why such a hue and cry of extinction? The cheetah is extinct, the tiger and the leopard are endangered. Why such a fuss? The story of life on Earth spans millions of years. But if we shrink these millions to fit 1 calendar year, then each day will be 10 billion years long. And in this calendar, man appeared on the very last day, 31st December, just a few minutes before midnight. And look at what we've done. We humans are the only creature that destroy and damage, that live beyond our need for greed.
the impact of human beings is maybe 100 times more dangerous than that one crater that caused the dinosaurs to vanish. The dinosaurs, incidentally, didn't vanish over a weekend. They took a very long time to die out. And that very long time is much, much, much longer than the time that we are giving current creatures that are being forced into extinction the time to adjust. The death of species is so rapid that we don't even have the time to count or to identify which are the species that we are throwing into the abyss of extinction.
In the last 1 century, the Earth has been losing 3 species per day. And this extinction rate is increasing alarmingly. Experts fear that in the next 100 years, the extinction rate will rise to 30 per day. 30 species will be lost from the face of the Earth every day. Evolution is the game of adaptation. In this game, the winner is not necessarily the strongest. The cockroach won. The dinosaur lost out. Such a huge and powerful creature that ruled the earth for so long failed to survive. But what each one of us needs to think about is that I am telling you the story, there lived a dinosaur. But who will tell the story, there lived a man? Will it be the cockroach?